Good afternoon and good morning. This is James Loy from Loyalty 360, and I want to thank you for attending today's webinar, Loyalty for Your Global Audience, Creating Programs That Work, presented by Anthony Fiodo, USA VP of Loyalty, Tamara Oliverio, USA Senior Director of Loyalty Strategy, and Hannah Dwyer, UK Director of Business Development for SNP. Today, Anthony, Tamara, and Hannah will share valuable insights on how the shifting demands of consumers across the globe can inform an effective omni-channel strategy to create meaningful and repeat loyalty, how your brand can leverage innovative technologies such as mobile and partnerships to increase customer engagement with loyalty, and more. And we'd just like to remind you that this, as well as other webinars, are recorded and will be available on loyalty360.org after the webinar. And if you have any questions during the session, please enter them in the question box, and we will forward them to the presenters for a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. And with that, I will turn it over to our presenters from SNP.
Well, hello, everybody. Depending upon which time zone you're in, good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is Tamara Oliverio, and I will be walking you through this along with my partners in crime, like you said, Anthony and Hannah. So real quickly, before we get started, many of you may be familiar with SNP, but just for the event that some of you are not, just wanted to give a brief overview. And essentially what we do is we build loyalty programs and promotional solutions for brands, agencies, and marketers all around the world. And we have a pretty comprehensive suite of technology solutions that include everything from mobile receipt validation to provide proof of purchase and capture data that's essential specifically for consumer packaged goods companies. We also have a robust enterprise class loyalty platform, as well as a digital reward store that includes pre-licensed music and movie downloads, just to name a few. So as we jump into it, today we're going to be talking about really three macro trends that we believe, and in our several cases currently, are affecting a couple of things. One, how loyalty programs are currently being designed and should be designed in the future, but also how they're executed, but most importantly, how actually consumers are going to be engaging with a brand's loyalty program in the future. So the first macro trend, which you guys may have seen this before, the Internet of Everything, but essentially it really is the Internet of Everything. So just for perspective, 10 years ago, there were only 1 billion things connected to the Internet, and most of those were really computers. And this really brought about the rise of the online shopper, and as well as the headache of probably many of you on the phone to actually integrate e-commerce sales with existing brick-and-mortar loyalty program sales. And really what happened last year, we had 5 billion things actually connected to the Internet. So that adds in mobile phones and tablets, and that phenomena is really what's behind this whole mobile consumer movement that marketers are talking about a lot today. So the question becomes, what happens next? And right now, analysts are forecasting that there's going to be anywhere from 21 to 75 billion, that's billion, things connected to the Internet by 2020. So that includes pretty much everything from appliances and kitchen gadgets to vehicles, furniture, clothing, accessories, TVs, houses, medical devices, you name it. And if you look around today, you're already seeing it start to happen. So you have examples such as Fitbit or the Apple Watch, Google Nest, Amazon Echo and Alexa, Microsoft Xbox and OnStar, just to name a few. And it is and will be increasingly important for loyalty marketers to figure out how to engage with consumers in unique ways via these Internet of Everything type devices to remain relevant in the future and to keep their members engaged. So the second macro trend we wanted to cover is about this great consumer landscape shift. And if you look at just the last 10 years, it's really brought about significant changes in the demographic and psychographic landscape, specifically in the US, but also around the world. And it's had a profound effect on buying habits, consumer purchase expectations, what they actually perceive as being valuable. And really the concept of the not all customers created equal applies not just to how much they spend, but also what the brand's customers' personal experiences are. Much has already been written about the millennial generation, which, according to Frost and Sullivan, will comprise about 26.2% of the population in the next 10 years. And they're unique and different from other generations because there's like few common psychographic characteristics between the millennial generation. But while they play a significant role in this shift, an even more significant role is foreign-born individuals. So immigration across the globe is impacting this demographic landscape for countries everywhere. By 2025, specifically in the US, we're going to see about 15% of the total population being foreign-born. So in the last time that we've actually seen that in the US has been 1910, actually, which was back at that time, it was about 14.7%. So to that point, really how we see is the psychology of loyalty. As we're all students of loyalty, it really teaches us that people's behavior or actions are a direct result of their individual beliefs. And those beliefs are formed through their personal experiences. So the greater diversity of each consumer landscape around the globe, it really is going to have a profound impact based on the diversity of their personal experiences. So because of these personal experiences, it's going to demand hyper-personalization of all messages, benefits, and rewards as it relates to a loyalty program to really keep them engaged. And then the last macro trend we wanted to discuss was this collaborative consumption in the sharing economy. So 10 years ago, for many people, it wasn't even really considered cool to use coupons or buy secondhand, share a car ride, stay at someone else's house while they're on vacation, or even buy low-cost private label brands. But today, it's not just commonplace due to economic necessities around the world. It's also considered fashionable and convenient by a lot of people to actually continue to do this. So even of the most tech-savvy people, that being mostly of the next generation. So this post-2008 economy that combined with this growing population that's adjusted to these concepts of sharing thanks to social media and this conservation movement tied to the green movement has really given birth to this new collaborative consumption movement. So as a result, you have this entire new sharing economy that's risen thanks to the likes of very disruptive entrepreneurs like Uber, Etsy, eBay, GoFundMe, Airbnb, and all these other people who've disrupted the marketplace and stole market share from a lot more of the traditional companies. So according to a recent Crowd Companies report, there were actually 80 billion people in the US alone. That number is even higher looking globally who participated in this sharing economy. And it's estimated that within the next 10 years, it will represent about $335 billion in consumer spending in the US alone. So finding a place in this kind of consumption consumer mindset, or consumption, or U.S. consumer spending mindset, it's really important for future brands that are looking at loyalty. So to that point, just because you don't purchase a product firsthand, you might buy it secondhand, but you also love that brand. It doesn't mean you're necessarily less loyal. And there's still value in those consumers to engage with them and get them to advocate for your brand. So trying to figure out the best strategy as it relates to those particular consumers who are participating in this, collaborative consumption or sharing economy, is definitely going to be very important in the future. So those are the three, macro trends at a high level. Obviously, much more information out there about them, and but we just wanted to kind of give a snapshot of those. So, we do have on the phone, as we said, my partners in crime, Anthony Fioto and Hannah Dwyer, who are going to be talking about these macro trends as it relates to their individual, markets that they work within and around the globe. So I'm going to tee off, without further ado, to Anthony.
Thanks, Tamara. Mm-hmm. Before you tackle the Internet of Everything, you must master the smartphone. So I don't think it's possible to overstate the impact of the smartphone in the global economy, especially the U.S. economy. As a father of two teenage daughters, I live this every day. But in 2015, we saw two really interesting developments. For the first time, app usage surpassed desktop usage, and mobile-only internet exceeded desktop users. So clearly, the migration to a mobile economy is not merely underway, it's here. And like every other industry, the loyalty industry has been forced to respond. For example, in order to remain competitive, virtually every loyalty program has either optimized their website for mobile delivery, or they have a companion app which enables members to view and interact with their account anywhere, anytime. We've seen a lot of growth in digitally delivered instant reward options, options such as digital gift certificates, music and movie and magazine downloads, ebooks, and apps. And on the horizon, there's a new crop of really exciting, innovative, location-based mobile apps that reward customers for behaviors before they even reach the register. Mobile wallets are steadily inching their way into the mainstream, and certainly loyalty program inclusion will be part of that discussion and migration. And lastly, we're seeing the use of camera-based functionality to enhance loyalty programs. And a really great example of that is what Kellogg's is doing with their Family Reward program. Tamara, thank you. So for those of us who serve CPG or consumer packaged good loyalty programs, we know that they have historically faced some very unique challenges, including that virtually every brand sells through retail versus directly to the consumers. There's a very high reliance on codes, which can be both expensive and require a high degree of coordination. And the user experience for customers can be cumbersome and time-consuming. So a key strategy for Kellogg to address these challenges head-on was to include receipt validation as a key component for their program. So this is a technology that allows members to simply snap a photo of a qualifying receipt and then send it to their loyalty program through either a download, an email, or simply text it. And what this has allowed Kellogg's to do is actually identify who their customers are so that they can better communicate with them, to greatly reduce the cost and effort associated with relying on pin-on-pack codes. And for the users, it's created a much more simple, much more user-friendly experience. Hannah?
So over 10% of UK shoppers use their phone as a payment method in 2015. Technology makes a shopping experience better by receiving personalised content from being part of a loyalty programme, using mobile to unify and enhance the digital shopping experience both off and online. Anthony.
So another trend that we see is this continued evolution towards omni-channel loyalty, and omni-channel loyalty loosely defined as engaging with a customer at all of the various touch points they have with a brand. And I'm sure everybody on this phone call knows the stats. The average US household is enrolled in approximately 29 different loyalty programs, but they're active in maybe 8. That is a very demanding and cluttered marketplace for loyalty programs to compete in. So where in the past traditional loyalty programs were singularly focused on spend or purchase activities, what we're now seeing is programs begin to broaden and to include various engagement type of behaviors, as well as to employ strategies to reach customers in every channel. And a good example of this would actually be Lancome. Next slide, thank you. Lancome, I'm sure most people know, but it's a premier beauty brand, and they sell both directly through their own stores as well as through retailers. So their program, Elite Rewards, allows members to earn points for purchases made in all of the channels. So they're leveraging some of this receipt validation technology, which I referenced earlier. But additionally, Lancome has layered in a variety of non-purchase behaviors. That includes activities such as watching videos, reading blogs, completing surveys, referring friends, and then a whole host of social media activities. Hannah?
A leading UK retailer has created a single customer view to get to know their shoppers better and to create a 360-degree relationship with them. This allows them to deliver tailor-made offers. The retailer has been under increasing pressure from the market to increase their retail market share, so it's taken a strategy to increase engagement and increase sales and their bottom line. Leader and Shoe loyalty program is a program that Snip work on in Europe. We have over 350 stores and across over 10 markets, with, by the end of the launch, 183,000 people signed up to the loyalty program. Anthony.
So big data personalizes loyalty for me. We just discussed how omnichannel loyalty is a very solid strategy to engage customers wherever they are on whatever platform that they favor at the time. Increasingly, we see brands turning to their loyalty programs as an inducement and a portal to not just drive behaviors, but also to collect more detailed data. And that data, in turn, can be leveraged to help create and deliver more personalized and targeted experiences, products, services, and content. So personalization and further down the road, hyper-personalization offer clear benefits for both loyalty programs and then their members. For brands, it's a really great way to stand out, to differentiate in a very commoditized marketplace. Additionally, the data gathered is a powerful tool to allow for ongoing refinement of the program's financial performance. A great tool in the quest for data gathering is receipt validation technology, which has been mentioned a couple of times already. But one only need take a look at the comprehensive data a program receives when a member submits a receipt to understand why. Tamara, next slide, please. So obviously each merchant and the corresponding receipt that they issue would be different, but some of the data points that can be captured are pretty consistent. And this is just an arsenal of information for a brand, demographic information, purchase location, which would be tremendous for a CPG company, and a basket analysis in particular stands out. I mean, imagine a scenario where a brand might learn that their customers who buy their products are also buying their competitors' products during the same shopping trip. They can then take that information and deliver targeted marketing messaging.
Big data personalizes loyalty for me. Over 40% of shoppers indicate other considerations such as freebies, discounts, or tailored offers, suggesting brands are better off than being reputable than cheap. Therefore, leveraging all sorts of customer and location product data to ensure offers are tailor-made and ensuring a personalized and contextualized customer experience. A leading UK retailer has recently personalized offers by collecting data from their loyalty program and making sure that the customer journey is enhanced, and seen over the years an increase in revenue by personalizing, delivering personalized content and offers specific to them.
Okay, great. We have some questions if you guys are ready to answer some questions that came in from the audience.
Let's do it.
All right, great. I was just making sure you're ready. The first one is for Tamara. If these are the current trends that are beneficial to follow, can you think of any past loyalty practices that don't apply anymore or would maybe even be harmful to for your audience to continue adhering to?
Absolutely. I would say, one of the most important things, and if you look around with programs today, a lot of them look very similar to each other. And so what's happened is that, when you kind of have this Me Too trend happening where, people get into loyalty, they want to create a loyalty program, and they basically do a cookie cutter strategy of what the competition is doing. So, and really what ends up happening is that you have, people who are or consumers, there's really no true point of differentiation anymore between your brand and another brand as to why they should be loyal. And really what it becomes is it's actually like a very expensive investment to have that Me Too selection. The other thing I would say that's very important, I have coming from a retail loyalty background, which I see a lot of retailer loyalty programs doing, they're very discount heavy. So unfortunately, what's happened with a lot of companies that we've trained as loyalty marketer to basically to have our loyalty program, your members only buy on discount. And it's become an expectation. Whereas the whole point of being loyalty is you want to reward people and have them to buy more and be more profitable and increase the lifetime values. But unfortunately, it's had a reverse effect in many markets. So I would just say from a global standpoint, learn from the mistakes of those in the US to my friends in Canada or in Europe or in Asia. Those are a lot of the trends that have happened here as it relates to loyalty programs. So learn from those mistakes and apply them in your different global markets.
Okay, great. So another question came in from an audience attendee. This one's for Anthony. How can you take a one-off promotion and evolve it into a full-fledged loyalty initiative? Is that possible? Would that be advisable?
Yeah, so I'll take the half of the question first. And as a career salesperson selling loyalty, I would always say, of course. And but the reality is it advisable? Sometimes. The first step is really evaluate the product itself or the products, and every market is different. But evaluating whether or not a product is recurring, has margin, and the type of purchase at SNP and serving CPG, what we've seen happen is actually a migration. So we've seen program promotions, which are typically a one-time event, migrate to a continuity program, which would be run over a period of time, to a loyalty program, which would then be evergreen.
And can you talk a bit about how loyalty programs today, Anthony, are reinventing rewards? Because we hear so much about programs not offering just points for cash anymore, correct?
Yeah, I mean, we live in a rapidly evolving global marketplace that is largely being shaped by technology, and there's a tremendous amount of innovation that's being done in e-commerce, and e-commerce to a large degree has really shaped customer expectations since we serve the same marketplace. And people today expect value and choice and immediacy. They want what they want, and they want it now. Loyalty programs are being forced to respond accordingly, and you see this manifest itself in several ways. One, more choice. Certainly, there is a pressure to create more exciting and reward options and differentiate. A great example of that, SNP is working with Verizon on offering Verizon data packages as a reward option, something the market hasn't seen yet. More liquidity, where points begin to function like a true currency. I think a very cool program is actually being offered through Amazon, where you have major credit card programs like Citibank and American Express, where folks can take their points and use them at checkout like actual cash. I think customers these days expect transparency and, again, value. Especially in the U.S., consumers are very savvy. They understand what their points are worth, and they're not willing to overpay for rewards, even with points. So gone are the days where you can offer 50,000 points for a golf club that I know retails for $200. I'm gonna redeem for a gift certificate and go shop and get it when it's on sale. People, again, expect to be satisfied immediately. They want instant rewards. And as we discussed earlier, there is a massive migration towards more personalized reward options, where Anthony Fiodo is going to see a different reward catalog than other folks based off of my preferences, my shopping habits, and perhaps my social graph.
Okay, great. We have another question that came in. This one's for, I guess, anyone who would like to take it. How does SNP work in traditional trades, such as bodegas, corner stores, mom and pop shops, establishments like that, where you may not know how much information will be printed on the receipt?
This is Anthony. I would say honestly, bodegas is not exactly our target market. You know, in order for receipt technology to work, it needs to be you know, printed, and I'm not so sure that that's the right marketplace for us to serve.
Gotcha. Okay. And when you set up a loyalty program in Europe where there's a lot of legal considerations or language requirements, how might that work? Can you share any learnings from that respect?
We do due diligence with both legal teams. We have a legal team in-house, and also with, and if it's any financial due diligence that needs to be done, if you're obviously collecting points and there's a financial implication, we would look at that and do financial planning with the loyalty program.
Okay, all right, thanks. We have, that's pretty much the end of the questions we have. Is there any closing thoughts you'd like to add before we wrap up?
Yes, Anthony, just want to thank you for the thoughtful questions.
All right, great. Well, thank you for your time and for your webinar and that insightful Q&A. And before we close up, we'd just like to remind everyone in attendance that if any questions do arise, if you have any further questions, feel free to contact Loyalty 360, and we will ensure that they are directed to the appropriate party. And we'd also like to remind everyone that everyone in attendance today will receive a recording of the webinar, which will be available for a limited time. And thanks again for attending today, and we wish everyone a great rest of their day.